and the concept of Pan-Africanism has not worked because the fundamentals of the concept of statehood is anchored in colonialism, administrative conveniences, and economic spoliation. Africa has gone through several tragedies, and the children of Africa are scattered across the globe in search of a homeland, in search of an identity, in search of happiness. The continent hijacked hundreds of years ago, splintered and shared amongst colonialists who have implanted as overseers and managers of these plantations, tyrants and butchers who laid waste to our coast, looted our resources, built a large army that they have used to continue to perpetuate a neo-colonial doctrine that favors the West and these tyrants. The leader was kidnapped through an illicit intercourse between Nairobi and Abuja, the leader of the largest indigenous group in the continent of Africa. It is a shame that in the 21st century, a people like Biafrans, who have been subjected to economic deprivation, political asphyxiation, social exclusion, will still be treated with contempt and disdain. Let me remind Nigeria that you didn't win the war. You won the battle of 1967. You've never won the war. And the reason for Nigeria's arrogance is reflected in the fact that despite a genocide committed on you, millions of Biafrans butchered, Nigeria has never apologized. There's never been accountability. Nigeria has continued with a vindictive perception as though Biafra was conquered, and its leaders are still pushing out utterances, sore on the wounds of a people who have suffered a lot of injustices in the land of their birth. All hail Biafra. Before there was Nigeria, there was Biafra. I am not addressing you as your leader. I am addressing you as a friend, as a Pan-Africanist, as someone who believes in justice, as someone who believes in the true union of peoples within the continent to safeguard their economic interests, to establish over their nations political systems that work for their interests, that are a reflection of their particularities, not any strange political system that serve the interests of foreign dominions, masterminded by tyrants who regularly organize political charade called elections to legitimize tyranny. My fellow Biafrans, we Amazonians are a people who have suffered injustice for so long, and we understand the pain. We understand the pain of tyranny, the curtailment of rights, the deprivation, the asphyxiation, the exclusion. And that's why we stand with you. Unlike our forebears did in their struggle against colonialism, we believe, as a people who have suffered tribulations, we should never utter words or take actions that betray other people. That is why I led Ambazonia into an alliance with Biafra, because you are a permanent neighbor. We were once governed as part of Inigo, and we walked out of there peacefully to establish our own system of ruling our own capital. We share a common border, a common heritage. We form one of the strongest blocs in the continent of Africa, in the Gulf of Guinea. We are a reflection of the future of prosperity, anchored in justice, equitable distribution of wealth, the exploitation of natural resources for replication and development, and where the owners of those resources not have a say in the way they are managed. We are a more than 17 million strong economy with one of the most educated economic workforce, ingenious in terms of entrepreneurial spirit. That's why they're scared of us. That's why they've imposed tyrants to ensure that our day of sunshine never comes. About 5 years ago, Cameroon declared war on Amazonia. It used Nigeria as a proxy state to arrest Amazonians within Biafra and within Nigeria, illegally, rendition them to Cameroon, where they were detained in Communicado, tried in kangaroo tribunals, and jailed for life. So when I speak about the kidnapping of your own leader, it's based on the experiences that we have faced. An experience that gives me a better platform to speak about this. You've been left like a flock without a shepherd. But I remind you that they've taken away your leader, but they've not taken away the vision, the ideology upon which his leadership was anchored. Nigeria has a choice. Mr. Buhari has a choice. It is a choice Mr. Biya rejected. Release MAZI Nnamdi Kanu. Engage in meaningful discussion on the aspirations of the Biafran people, or lay Nigeria waste. Nigeria's survival depends on the freedom of Biafra, not the other way around. As I said, Nigeria won the battle of 1967. It didn't win the war. The war has been going on since then. Only one side has been armed, acted with impunity, and with a sense of callousness, as though Biafrans were a captured and conquered people. You owe Nigeria nothing. Nigeria owes you its future, its economic stability, its political future. And you Biafrans must be treated with respect. Amazonia will continue to support you, to encourage you. Whatever you decide about the outcome of your struggle, the method you want to use, is a choice only Biafrans can make. Whatever choices you make, you can count on the support of my leadership. You can count on the solidarity of the Amazonian people. That for us Amazonians, we want a stable neighbor, one that respects human rights, one whose political institution is a reflection of the particularities of its own people, its heritage, and its future. You can be rest assured that the freedom of Amazonia will be meaningless without the freedom of Biafra and all other peoples whose destiny have been held hostage by this illicit intercourse between modern-day enslavement manifested in the tyranny of tyrants imposed over our own nations. We will never forgive. We will not build Peace and Reconciliation Commission. There will be truth and accountability. All those who have looted our resources, laid bare our territories, murdered our people, committed genocide on us, you will be held accountable through time and space. Only then, when we can hold people accountable, shall we in the future stop impunity. Shall we hold leaders accountable for their acts when they were in power and out of power. All those who enabled colonialism through the legitimization of tyranny and puppets over our countries will be held accountable. I continue to encourage you in your strives to be free, in your daily struggles, in the strategies you employ. And you must be reminded, all those who have died have not died in vain. All those who are in jail have not lost their liberty in vain. Never give up. Be reminded that our both lands are flowing with the blood of patriots who have been murdered by those who took us captives. And on a daily basis, as we continue to struggle to ensure that our people are free, that our destinies and future are secured and anchored in justice, we must be reminded of other struggles, the sacrifices made by peoples. We are now scattered across the globe, living under democracies where we have the right to speak and sometimes be listened to. For all of those who are out of Biafra, you must continue to add your voices to ensure that your leader is released and that the dreams of the Biafran people is realized. I've not come here to make you feel it's going to be easy. Tyranny is entrenched. Brutality, murder, systematic torture, crimes against humanity, and even genocide are the best options for tyranny. You will face dark days. More leaders will be killed. Villages will be burnt as they have been burnt in Amazonia. You might lose another generation. But the dreams of the Biafran people, as manifested today in the enthusiasm which this generation has injected in the struggle, will be realized. It's in your hands to make it happen. It's in your hands to make it fail. As for us in Amazonia, we are already free. We have defeated Kanu because we made a conscious decision that because occupation is predicated on economic exploitation, we were going to stop the occupier from exploiting our resources. We made a determination also that because occupation is predicated on political legitimacy, we make sure that we delegitimize the occupier in our homeland. We also realize that political stability is critical for the survival of the occupier. We made our land ungovernable. All of these strategies has crumbled Cameroon's politics within Amazonia, has elevated Amazonia from a domestic to an international issue. And we know that The dawn of a new day for Amazonia is just around the corner. As we continue to struggle for our own freedom, the alliance which myself and MAZI Nnamdi Kanu established for both peoples and both nations is going to be strengthened to ensure that after we are free, we establish a free economic zone where both peoples can tap in both their human and natural resources to have a better life and a better future. My fellow Biafrans, Nigeria did not act alone. Kenya facilitated the kidnapping and rendition of your leader. The same crime they committed in the kidnapping and rendition of the Kurdish leader, Mr. Öcalan. We must know that Cameroon continues to work with Nigeria to perpetrate crimes against Ambazonians. These alliances are critical for tyranny. They have implications on the outcomes which we seek for our people. That is why all Biafrans and Ambazonians must understand that the alliance between Biafra and Amazonia is critical to ensure our both survivors. We will not defeat these tyrannies alone. We must work together like a people suffocated, like a people whose existence is threatened. We must stand together in all aspects. And I'm grateful and thankful that Biafrans and their hundreds join Ambazonians across the globe in the celebration of our 60th year of independence. We will continue also to replicate with the same kindness to ensure that you are free. On a daily basis, as you struggle for the freedom of your leader, you can count on me. You can count on my added voice. You can count on my own leadership. I wish you strength. I wish your own leadership, strength, foresight, and wisdom as they lead you to the dreams which you've set for yourself, for the generation yet unborn. You must know you are a free people. It is up to you to rise up and defend that freedom, or raise your hand in surrender and allow the enemy to continue to lay waste to your territory. All hail Biafra. God bless you.
We're not going to have a repeat of what happened in Kenya. Have the journalists, any of the journalists, had the courage to ask the Attorney General, to ask President Mohammed Buhari, to proudly tell people what happened in Kenya? It was a rogue operation. But there will be justice on that. Only just 1 year and the government will go. How he was abducted in that car park, the kind of beating Nnamdi Kanu was given under that car park, where he was taken and nearly executed. Today, the Kenyan government said that they were not aware of it. Some officials of the Kenyan government, including the secret police, was part of the operation. And he was abducted and brought here. Yes, people will say it doesn't matter how a suspect is brought to court. No, it matters. Because this will remind us the kind of thing the prince of Saudi would do to Khashoggi in Turkey. The kind of things Idi Amin of Nkurunziza would do to people who oppose them in different countries. But there is one thing I want everybody to take home here. We are focusing on what is happening today. But we are not focusing on how we got to this particular point. Any messenger of truth, anybody who desires justice, like I do, will understand that the events of today were all predicted. You saw the injustice. You saw the lopsidedness of actions that was taken by the president from the very moment he was sworn in. From the issue of 95% to 5%. The president carried on with divisive policies, which you know. Hate was promoted. Division was promoted. And all the people who are complaining today, what did they say? When there was those killings in Nimbo, those ones in Okigwe, those ones in Delta, where people were killed and raped, what did you tell the president? What did you demand? All of you were here when we even asked for a change of the service chief for us to be able to bring proactive action. Was there anything that was done? No. Was there anything that was done? No. Now, at the time the Attorney General rushed to God in heaven, we are facing the sky and proscribe the Ipob. Was there any killing? No. Was there any confusion? No. These actions were promoted by hate. That is why, with what is now already happening in court, where you don't allow the lawyers of the defense, the people they want to defend them, to go in, when the court will give order that 3-4 people can visit him and they get to DSS and they are screened down and they cannot enter. When our respected traditional rulers will sit under the sun and they will not be allowed to enter a court for a trial that is supposed to be open, free and fair, I begin to ask myself, can there be justice that will come out of this charade? No. Starting from the refusal of the president to address the insecurity and the killings that was ravaging the East then, going by his decision to also, more importantly, even after the arrest of Nnamdi, can I ask you all one question? What effort have the government done in trying to address those grievances that relate to the rise of those agitation? If a man is honest and he truly desires peace for his people, what will he have done? You would have started the process of peace building, reaching out to people and building confidence, but he doesn't care. He just wants to keep him, and then you want to try him. Why do we need to try him at Federal High Court? He should take him to Daura and try him. Let's know where he's trying him, because you can't call this a Federal High Court of the Republic, and a citizen is accused of an offense, and you cannot even allow him to have a fair trial. Neither do you obey the orders of courts. And that is why my message is very simple. The president should take the path of peace and negotiation. Let's find an end to this. Let us find an end to this, which is granting bail, moving from DSS to police custody, and granting bail and pursue the path of peace, reconciliation, and negotiation. This trial, to me, to God who made me, was unnecessary, was avoidable, and this trial is baseless. And it is in the interest of peace and unity and stability that this trial of Nnamdi can be discontinued. And I say this as a messenger of truth, one who always pursues and desires truth. After all, you people were here when the DSS charged me for treason of trying to overthrow the government. Did I overthrow the government? No. Did I? No. Did we change my views on issues? No. No, because if you believe in truth and justice, it does not matter how many times you are tried or how many times you are arrested. You always pursue truth. And all I'm saying, and I want media to follow to ask this issue, that if after the arrest there is agitations by citizens who have rights to agitate self-defense, have you made any effort to address the imbalance in the country? No. Have you even made any effort to implement the report on restructuring by his party? No. So you can see that this trial is not about the good of anybody. To me, it's hate. And it's about denying a man, trying a man at his back. From the way he was even adopted. Ask yourself, why has the government not boldly told you how he was brought here? When Obama or whatever went to kill Osama, you saw the footage of what happened. So if you say what you did there, you are proud of it, say it now, because it was a rogue oppression. But that will be an issue for another day. What I'm saying is that there is no fair trial procedure going on. And that is why I came here. The other day I came, they not allow me to enter. I said, do I look like a terrorist? I'm going to bomb the court. Our traditional rulers are under the sun. Look at SVB, all of them sitting right there. Look at our former governor Chukwemeka sitting right under the sun. They are humiliating our people, and they are making us feel we are not wanted. And that is why I said, let the president open the court and allow Nigerians to witness these proceedings. Of course. And if I were to advise, discontinue this trial, grant him bail, and take the path of peace, negotiation, and reconciliation. That is the easy part. Instead of wasting so much resources, I was coming here, I saw Navy, I saw Air Force, I saw all security agencies all over the place. We need these men in the field to help us quell rising insecurity in the country. There is a lot of challenges that need to be addressed. And if you try a man without giving him justice and fairness, that trial is nonsense. So I am here to say that this ongoing trial and the denial of access to justice is unfair, and that has made this trial a charade. And I know, and I plead with Justice Mutalanya, you don't continue a proceedings if your orders are not obeyed. If you believe as an agent of justice that your orders are not obeyed, you suspend this. You stop it for now. Because the other day they gave the order, you saw what happened. They were not allowed. They nominated Ezigbo to go there. He did not go. Now today again he came with, okay, look at as old as Ezigbo is, and Ezife, Are they going to attack the court? Are they going to do anything? They will not now. So why all this? This is unnecessary, and that is why I said it's very painful. I'm not going to force my way through, but I want the whole world to know that this trial is not a trial. This is like a family gathering. It's not a trial.
It's true.
Are you getting me?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. So my name is Ikenga Imo Ugochinyere. I'm the spokesperson of the opposition coalition, and also I want to say this, and that is why on our own part we have taken this matter to international community. How did you in the first place sneaked into Kenya, adopted a man with rogue organization, people who are semi-terrorists, nearly killed him in Kenya, smuggled him into Nigeria, and then you want people to overlook that aspect? Is this the first time this is happening?
No.
In 1984, what happened to Maruduko when he was put in a crane in London? Are we going to turn our country into a rogue nation?
No.
And then what he went to, how did he have heart attack? Was it not when the people who adopted him in Kenya turned the generator on his face that he had that heart attack? Does he used to have that medical history before?
No.
So when you do all this and then you don't apply the same energy to the bandits and the killer herdsmen that is ravaging our farmland, you don't use the same method to go to Niger to adopt them or go to the forest to adopt them, and you adopt this man and you want me to believe that you want to try this man and fail. I will be a fool to believe that. This trial is baseless to me. As long as I'm concerned, discontinue this trial, pursue the path of peace and reconciliation, address these grievances. These grievances are they not supposed to be addressed? You have cited it in all the actions, issues of fiscal federalism. If these issues were addressed, will Nnamdi have had more people listening to his message? No. It was because you refused to address those issues. That was why at the time he spoke, when most of our Eastern brothers refused to speak for our people, that his message had a solid belief by people. Yes. So the key to addressing these issues is to give him bail, is to ensure that you go back to the table with everybody and then find a common ground so that we can renegotiate and find a way to live or not to live. It's very simple. And this is issues of fundamental human rights, right to self-defense and so on and so forth. Or were they happy when those things were happening in the forest? And when you do this down in the east, you don't use the same energy up in the north. Nobody is slave to anybody. And there's one message I want you to take home. Most people who have dictatorial tendencies, whether in Nigeria or over the world, refuse to learn from history. Nobody has ever won this war of dictatorship. If not, Hitler would have won it. Idi Amin would have won it. Inquisitor Burundi would have won it. What they call him, the one from Zaire, Congo, Mobutu Sese Seko would have won it. So nobody wins it because it is unfair, it is injustice. It doesn't survive, it doesn't last forever. So I am here today and I'm appealing to them, if for anything, allow people to even access the court. Allow our traditional rulers to access the court. Allow the lawyers to access the court. Attorney General cannot come with 9 lawyers and their people, and then you want to screen down those lawyers. Okay, why are they hiding that they don't want the white man to enter? The one Mr. Bruce from US and the one the British government sent. Is there anything fishy about this thing? There's no place in the world people are trying to like this. So this is unfair, and all I'm asking as a messenger of truth is justice in this trial process if it must go on. If not, this thing is going to produce an already known outcome. Thank you.
All of you, from the head of our DOS, Navigator Dosium, to the very last unit coordinator, for all the wonderful work that you all did in my enforced absence. You never allowed yourselves to be cowed. You did not allow yourselves to be intimidated. You fought very gallantly to ensure that IPOB remains the preeminent freedom fighting movement anywhere on this very planet Earth. I have a lot to thank all of you for, because you kept the flame burning. We remember those that fell. Every day I remember them, and I hope also that every day all of you must remember them, because they laid down their lives for us, and we must accomplish Biafra for their sake, and the sake of our children, even those who are not born yet. We must remain resolute, very determined, uncompromising and unforgiving in our quest to restore Biafra in truth and in every honesty. I must ask each and every one of you, wherever you are, to search your hearts and to search your souls wherever you are. to understand the essence of IPOB and what we are doing. As I said previously, this is not a broadcast for the whole world, it's just for the IPOB family. Some of us have forgotten what it means to be IPOB, because during my first absence, most of us went astray. So although some people started from when I was in detention, it is very, very important that we keep this very flag flying, that we do not follow the trap set for us by our enemies, because a lot of things happened whilst I was away. Some people fell by the wayside. Some people felt that perhaps the zoo had something to offer them. And some people collaborated with the enemy, not just to kill us, but to attempt to set the clock of restoration backwards. But thanks to the grace and mercy of the Most High, Chukwukika, they did not succeed. Once again, I welcome each and every one of you, and especially those of you that have been working exceptionally hard to make sure that we stayed on this very course towards our restoration. A lot has happened. When I think about it, sometimes it brings tears to my eyes. Surprisingly and shockingly, not a lot of people were up to this very job, which is rather extremely sad. Being an IPOB is a very unique privilege. A very unique privilege. For you to be an IPOB family member, it's a rare honor. When we call each other Umu Chineke or Nwa Chineke, it is a very unique privilege, not an entitlement. Only the pure at heart can be called Nwa Chineke. Not everybody you meet on the street is entitled to be called that very name. IPOB is a very special breed of people. We have come that we may restore Biafra, and there is nothing the zoo and their allies can do about it. We remain the bravest of the very brave. Cowards run away when they see us. From the day I arrived in the zoo exactly 4 years ago, minus 1 week, because I arrived in the zoo on the 14th of October in the year of our Lord 2015. I told them that I was coming, and I came. Some people within some segments of the media were writing a whole lot of junk about us, that we are just on Facebook, that I'm in London. They dared me to come back, and I told them that I was coming home, and I did. Come home. When I arrived, I was arrested. I was taken to Abuja. I was confined to a very tiny space. I was chained like a common criminal. I was handcuffed. They tried to break me. They know that that is impossible. They can attest to it. They mocked me that I will rot in jail. Some prayed very fervently, those who are against Biafra, agents of darkness, that I should die in jail. But the walls of prison and detention couldn't keep me. I told Jibril, now, or should I say Buhari, before he died and was buried in Saudi Arabia, that he was a madman. I called him a madman in his own court because I know that he cannot do anything about it. Chukwukika sent me, and not man. So there is nothing any human being can do to me or to the wider body of IPOB for that matter. I told the court of Bintan Yako that they cannot jail me. And they did not. I called the dead Buhari, an illiterate madman in his own court, and I walked away. They mocked me after I came out of prison, even those that I'm older than, even the age mates of my first son, Nnamdi. Maybe because of the way I look, they will say, what these young men are doing. Apart from maybe 4 or 5 people in Ohanese, I am older than every other Ohanese executive member. Then when you hear them talk about me and IPOB, you think we're a bunch of teenagers. I don't blame them. They're a product of a dysfunctional system. They gave me very stringent bail conditions. I hope IPOB family members are listening very quietly, because what I have to tell you is extremely important. So you must pay attention. They gave me the bail conditions so that I wouldn't speak, so that I cannot rally, to muzzle me, so that I'll just be in my father's house and then go to court once in a while. The same thing they did to the now estate developer in Owerri. I told them, no, you cannot cage me, you cannot muzzle me, it's not possible. I went out and I defied every stupid restriction placed on my person, so that IPOB can be alive and our restoration of Biafra well on course. The powers that be didn't like it. Their Igbo collaborators did not like it. Some of them in government houses did not like it. Ohanese didn't like it, because I said no to voting in Anambra. And I have my reasons, and I'll go to that later. Obiano said I shouldn't come to Ekulobia, that he will kill me with the Zoo army. We broke Ekulobia. Nevoma, he said I shouldn't come to Ebonyi. I went to Ebonyi with the longest convoy in history. As I was entering Abakaliki, part of our convoy was still in Enugu. We broke the cordon. 6 fortified military checkpoints. I got down from my vehicle and I walked through all of them. I begged them to shoot me. We went into Abakaliki and we shot Abakaliki down. When we got to the front of the government house, I asked my driver to stop, so I can greet some of the people working for Dave Umahi, to let them know that Ipob is Biafra. After our rally, on my way out of Abakaliki, they stopped me again and asked me to turn around. And I told them it would not happen. We broke that very cordon too, and we got home safely that very evening. I went to Obibo. In Iwacha. We locked Iwacha down for 6 hours. There was no movement. Yet Onwike did not ask army to kill me. He never tried to intimidate me nor to molest me. We rallied peacefully as we normally do, and we went back home. Igbo and Igbo governors got together and said this cannot continue. That Nnamdi Kanu is heating up the polity. They decided to kill me. It was these men that physically applied to Rock to have me killed. They couldn't do it. After all, Buhari was dead, buried in Saudi Arabia. When Jibril came back, a lot of Igbo men that call themselves politicians and political leaders arranged for me to be assassinated. They pleaded and pleaded and pleaded. Because our 30th of May celebration, our sit at home last year was successful. that led those Alamajiri youths, I don't know where they got them from, to issue a quit notice at the instigation of our Consultative Forum. Our people must listen very carefully. Arewa Consultative Forum pressured Nyamud and Ohaneze and Southeast governors to do something about me. When they talk about me, they don't tell you the truth. I was the one that went to Waldo's house when he was in the USA to look for him, to greet him. I went with Evangelist Elio Tuko. I went back again when he returned, and we had very sumptuous lunch together. And I told him that this is what I stand for. I want Biafra because of all the maltreatment, because of all the humiliation, because of all the shame that Nigeria over the years have compelled us to go through as a people, that I cannot take it anymore. I want to be free and I want to die a free man. He asked me, what do I intend to do? And I told him, most respectfully, that I will engage in civil disobedience. I will boycott every boycottable until the zoo accedes to my demand for a referendum. That I won't fight anybody. He said it's okay, but I should consider an umbrella election. I told him no. We've been talking since 1953, if I'm not mistaken. So what has come of it? Absolutely nothing. The zoo, as a contraction, instead of going forwards, is always going backwards every blessed year. Things are getting more difficult. Our children are dying in the Mediterranean. They are drowning. Our daughters have nobody to marry them because most of our men, our brothers, our uncles, our cousins are in severe difficulties of health. Some are in jail, some are struggling. Some will have to marry somebody from that very country where they are domiciled to be able to get their papers. Nobody is interested in our sisters back home. And I told Chief Ward that I cannot go through life like this. I cannot tolerate this anymore. That something must give way. That I have no interest in being the leader of Biafra. I have no interest in politics. All I want is for our people to be free. I explained to him very calmly and with respect. We took pictures, we had lunch, and we went away. They went behind my back to plan to kill me when I did nothing wrong to them. They came to my house, as we all know, on the 14th of September of last year, to kill me and every living being in my house. I don't know if Britain is involved, but when I return to the UK, we shall find out. Okay, see you, Bazo. Devil Mahi. Near Wardo. I had their statements prepared for my obituary. They had gone to plan with the traditional rulers of all the other geopolitical zones in the zoo to come down to address Biafrans on why my death was a good thing for our people. Go through Okezie Ibazu's statements. It's all there and self-evidently so. Johannes and the political class, Southeast governors, used Fulani military apparatus to to try and assassinate me the same way they've been doing what they did in Aba, Tumpo, Nisha, Iluku, Igwacham, in Aba. All we're asking for is for our freedom. The evil men that claim they are politicians brought death to us. When you ask them, but what wrong have we done? They say we are heating up the polity. That's all. We've explained to them time and time again, we want to be free. Perhaps some of you are comfortable being slaves to Fulani people. Ipob is not comfortable and can never ever be comfortable with it. We made it very clear and shall continue to make it very clear that we are not retreating. We cannot surrender. It is either Biafra or we die getting Biafra. Mind you, it was these semi-pro politicians that crafted my bail conditions. Some of you do not know. They wanted to cage Ipob the same way they caged MAZI and rendered it useless through financial inducements and military intimidation. Even those that claim they're part of the intelligentsia, when they go to Abuja, they lose their voice, they cannot speak on behalf of our people. They are humiliated day after day for daring to demand what is right for their people. The only time that they have anything tangible to say to us is every 4 years during the time to vote. But come next year, we will tell these corrupt politicians that Biafra land belongs to Biafrans. All we're interested in is freedom, our liberty as a people, equity and fairness that we will never, ever, ever negotiate away. If indeed, as we know, that Ipob is fighting for all the things that have been elucidated above, why is it that Ohanes Ndibo and some Igbo governors would like to have me killed? Why do they want me?
Everybody is going to listen to this video and so on the day you will come, you will see it. Even if you come, you will see that Biafrans have rejected everything that have to do with the zoo. We have rejected the zoo 1,000,000 times more than 100 years back ago. And we will continue to reject it until we have established a sovereign and independent Biafra nation.
Wonderful welcome. First, I'd like to send my greetings to all the people of Nigeria. I've been treated with unexcelled hospitality and generosity. So I want to express those sentiments to feel welcomed from the United States. Before I arrived in Abuja, I spent some time in Geneva, where there's a working group on arbitrary detention. It's a 5-member group that's a unit of the United Nations Human Rights Council, and it entertains applications on behalf of persons who have been arbitrarily detained under international law. I submitted an urgent action application on behalf of Nnamdi Kanu, identifying all of the elements of arbitrariness in his current detention, including, for example, his denial of access to counsel, which is triggered the moment he is detained. And so you've all heard from Ejiofor that he was denied counsel even when he was first brought into court. But that's not the only denial of detention rights. It seems quite clear, based upon the history of his detention and the struggle for Biafrans through peaceful means to secure a separate sovereignty, that he was singled out because of his ethnicity, his membership in the Biafran community, which is a discrimination prohibited specifically under international law and indeed also under the Nigerian Constitution. If you read the counts in the complaint, now 7, they come at the 11th hour, which is quite irregular. Ordinarily, you accuse someone before a few days before a trial. They consist of activities that are commonplace for all sorts of Nigerians. And why is Nnamdi Kanu the only one charged with such extravagant crimes as treason, levying war against Nigeria? But in addition to those violations of international law, the fact that he was kidnapped, he was tortured, he was extraordinarily renditioned to Nigeria without any due process of law is also illustrative of the arbitrariness of his detention. And you can think of the irregularity by contemplating the following. At the time that he was delivered from Kenya to Nigeria, he had not even been charged with 4 of the 7 counts that are now laid against him that were not advanced and articulated until last week. He couldn't possibly have been extradited even before legal means. Under the urgent action process in the working group, the Nigerian foreign minister was immediately notified of the allegations in our complaint. In an ordinary case, there's 60-day response time. But because there's a jeopardy to Nnamdi Kanu's health, including the lack of access to professional medical care, it's on a fast track. If the foreign minister responds, and at present he is not, then I will be permitted an opportunity to answer. But the working group is endowed with authority to make final definitive pronouncements on international law. And the Nigerian government is a signatory to the critical documents, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which bind the government of Nigeria to adherence. And a pronouncement by the working group of arbitrary detention would be a critical weakness in the movement for even a trial for someone who has been illegally captured and delivered. It is a fundamental principle, a universal principle of law, domestic and international, that the government should not be able to profit from its own wrongdoing or criminality. And if you permit governments to kidnap and torture and then try persons illegally, you're then emboldening governments to serve as kind of vigilante justice, running around all the world, capturing any of their dissidents with no due process and bringing them back to trial. After I completed my work in Geneva, then I traveled to Athens. I am working with the foreign ministries of Greece and Israel. I didn't get to Israel because of some glitch in COVID-19, but I hope to travel there after this Abuja visit terminates, to sue the government of Nigeria in the International Court of Justice that sits in The Hague. The International Court of Justice is not like the International Criminal Court. The International Court of Justice only entertains suits between nations. Most recently, in a case very similar to the one concerning Nigeria, the Gambia sued Myanmar in the International Court of Justice for genocide against the Rohingya, and they won early court battles. So the nations bringing suit don't necessarily have to be the ones suffering from the wrongdoing. And the International Court of Justice has a history of trying genocide cases, stemming back to the wars that erupted after Yugoslavia disintegrated, Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina. Now, there are 9-year terms for 15 members of the High Court that sits in the International Court of Justice, but we think this is important to have a platform that exposes the daily horrors and atrocities that are inflicted on peaceful civilians in the Southeast. I want to underscore that this issue of the upheavals and strife in Nigeria are not intended to point one group against another. The idea is to make everybody better off. There's not enmity, there shouldn't be enmity between the Fulani, the Biafrans, the Yoruba. We can work towards a process where everybody in the long run benefits. And I think one of the models that can be utilized in terms of peaceful way in which to reorganize the Nigerian dispensation that benefits all is Czechoslovakia. After the Cold War ended, the Czechs and Slovaks were all under one umbrella, Czechoslovakia. But they decided they simply had different histories, different ethoses, and they needed to separate peacefully, which they did. Separated the assets and the liabilities and whatever. So there's no reason why there has to be violence, even if there is a change in the structure of Nigeria. And I want to conclude by welcoming everyone who's in attendance here, and this the wonderful legal team that Nnamdi Kanu has put together. I'm proud to be a part of.
Great Biafrans and lovers of freedom. This is Radio Biafra HAUSA-SERVICE coming to you through the auspices of Radio Biafra London. My name remains MAZI JOHNATHAN. Today is the 8th day of the 10th month, which is October in the year of our Lord 2021. Without wasting time, we are going to hand over the microphone to our HOD, head of the directorate, MAZI JOHNATHAN. Please, over to you, MAZI.
Thank you, MAZI JOHNATHAN. Am I coming out clear, please?
You are coming out crystal clear, please. Go on.
Good evening. Good afternoon, good morning, and good night to you, wonderful and great Biafran people. My name is MAZI JOHNATHAN. I come from Ihe Oma. Ihe Oma is in Olu province of Biafra land. By the grace of Chukwu Kikabiama Promihenine, I serve the indigenous people of Biafra in the Directorate of State as the head of directorate. Permit me to begin this evening to extend the greetings of the leader of this great movement, the Supreme Commander of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, to the worldwide RQB family. I believe many of you already have seen the update from our attorney, the very Honorable Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor. But I would not start this evening without intimating Biafrans worldwide that Onyendu, as he is worth doing, once again sends his love and greetings in regard to each and every one of us, and we are all in his prayers. And we as well, let's continue to put him in our prayers and our supplications before Elohim. Great Biafrans, I want to begin this very night or morning, afternoon, depending on your time zone. I want to begin with the meeting that was held by the Southeast governors a couple of days ago. And permit me, please, indulge me a little bit, because I want to read from the so-called communique that was the result of that very meeting. Southeast governors rose from a meeting in Enugu on Tuesday and declared that they will do everything to end the sit-at-home order of the proscribed independent. Well, I am reading from a newspaper report, of course. That's a mistake. They have always been making that useless mistake of calling us independent people of Biafra. We are the indigenous people of Biafra. The indigenous people of Biafra. The deaf knows about, the deaf have heard it, even the blind sees that. So, but let me continue. They declare that they will do everything on the line to end the sit-at-home order of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra. The declaration is contained in a communique issued at the end of the meeting with stakeholders and made available to newsmen. The meeting was convened by the Ebonyi governor, Devil Umahi, and hosted by Ifeanyi Ejiofor of Enugu State. In that meeting, Umahi said, Umahi being the chairman of Southeast governors, he said that the governors were worried by the state of insecurity in the region and condemned the continued sit-at-home. Umahi